Imagine for a second that you were walking into a traditional heavy industry factory.
Oh, yeah, a real old school foundry. The sensory impact of a place like that is just immediate.
Exactly. I mean, the ambient noise is completely deafening. You have sparks showering everywhere from the machining stations.
Right, and you can physically feel that intense, radiant heat coming off these giant crucibles of molten metal.
Yeah, just waiting to be injected into these massive steel molds. It feels incredibly gritty. It feels like the absolute apex of brute force manufacturing.
It really does, but then if you look closer at the actual control panels on the floor.
You realize this entire chaotic, fiery environment isn't actually relying on veteran operators just eyeballing the process anymore.
No, not at all. The entire floor is being steered and optimized and corrected in real time by a self-learning artificial intelligence.
Which is wild, and that's exactly what our deep dive is about today. We're looking at a highly detailed document from July 2026.
Yeah, the digital maturity assessment schema for high-pressure die casting and Giga or Megacasting foundries. It's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful, but the mission of this deep dive is to map out exactly how a gritty, old-school manufacturing industry transforms into this sci-fi smart foundry.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this isn't just about throwing some cool robots onto a factory floor.
Right.
Adapted from the acatech Industrie 4.0 Maturity Index, this schema is essentially a survival guide for these factories.
A survival guide, yeah, because they have to adapt.
Exactly. It provides a really rigorous, objective way to measure if a facility is surviving the digital age or if they're literally just drowning in molten aluminum and outdated processes.
So how does a factory even begin to figure out where it stands? I mean, a factory can't just buy a neural network off a vendor, plug it into a 3,000-ton press, and just declare themselves a smart foundry.
Oh, definitely not. Before you can run, you really have to prove you know how to walk. Which brings us to the core of this schema, the 6-level maturity scale.
Right, the digital ladder. Let's break down the 0 to 5 scale.
So the foundational rung is level 0, which the schema categorizes as analog.
And at this stage, the foundry is basically running blind, right?
Pretty much. Process parameters are recorded on paper clipboards or maybe an isolated Excel spreadsheet if they're lucky.
So the entire operation just relies on the operator's experience, the muscle memory and gut instinct of the folks on the floor.
Exactly. There's no systematic, time-stamped recording of the casting cycles at all.
Wow. Okay, so then upgrading to level 1, which is computerized, that brings digital controls to the individual machines.
It does, but those machines remain isolated islands of automation.
Got it. So the telemetry from a specific metal poured, like the plunger velocity or the intensification pressure, it lives and dies right there on the local machine interface.
Right. The data is just trapped. It doesn't travel anywhere. So to bridge that gap, a foundry must reach level 2, which is connected.
This is the critical infrastructure phase, then.
Exactly. Machines finally begin communicating across the plant floor using industrial messaging protocols, things like OPC-UA or MQTT.
And those protocols are specifically engineered to send lightweight, lightning-fast data packets, right?
Yeah, packets that won't drop or corrupt even in a really electrically noisy, high-interference factory environment.
But certainly you aren't just looking at one machine. The data centralizes, and you can actually trace a single finished part back to its specific molten pour.
Which is a huge leap, but connecting the machines creates a totally new problem.
Right, the data tsunami. Because once you centralize the data, you are immediately hit with just a massive wall of telemetry.
Exactly, which necessitates level 3, the visible stage. This is where the factory creates what they call a digital shadow.
A digital shadow. So the incoming data is basically visualized into real-time dashboards for the humans to look at.
Yeah. Plant managers are suddenly watching live vacuum levels, precise mold temperatures, and they get automated calculations of their overall equipment effectiveness.
Or OEE, as it's called. So the guesswork is finally eliminated.
It is, but the cognitive load on the human operators becomes massive.
I can imagine. I mean, they are watching thousands of variables shift every single minute. Level 0 is like walking blindfolded, just relying on muscle memory. Level 3 is finally opening your eyes to look at the dashboard.
That's a great way to put it. And that is exactly why the transition to level 4, which is transparent and predictive, is arguably the most difficult leap.
Because the human brain just cannot monitor thousands of shifting variables and calculate nonlinear correlations on the fly.
Exactly. So level 4 introduces AI and machine learning. The AI monitors that digital shadow and actually begins predicting outcomes.
Okay, so it looks at like a microscopic drop in vacuum pressure.
Right, and it cross-references that with a slight drop in the die temperature.
And predicts that a cold shut is going to happen,
Yeah.
where the metal solidifies before completely fusing together.
Exactly. It flags the defect before the physical part even reaches the quality control team. It even initiates predictive maintenance on hydraulic pumps before they catastrophically fail.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I have to push back a little bit here.
Sure.
How does a factory prove they are actually at level 4? I mean, everybody claims to use predictive AI nowadays.
Oh, the AI washing problem.
Right. I could install a basic statistical software package that just flags out-of-bounds temperatures and call it an AI? How does the schema prevent that?
Well, the schema is engineered to aggressively filter that out. A facility cannot rely on self-declarations. They have to provide objective, reproducible evidence of their data models in action.
So no grading your own homework.
Exactly. And more importantly, it enforces a strict cascading logic. A foundry can only be certified at level 4 if absolutely all requirements of levels 1, 2, and 3 are flawlessly executed.
Ah, so you can't claim you have a functioning predictive AI if your level 2 network latency is dropping data packets.
Right, because the AI would be running calculations on incomplete telemetry. The mathematical foundation has to be perfect.
And that perfect foundation sets the stage for level 5, the holy grail, adaptive and autonomous.
The peak maturity. Here, the digital twin operates in a closed loop.
Meaning, it doesn't just predict a defect and alert an operator. It autonomously reaches back into the machine's control logic and corrects the injection parameters for the very next cycle.
Without any human intervention at all, it optimizes its own energy consumption and cycle times on the fly.
To use the car analogy again, level 5 is a fully self-driving car that physically tunes its own engine while speeding down the highway.
That's exactly it. But to verify a factory has achieved these upper levels, the auditors have to look under the hood. They dive into 9 specific dimensions of data.
Right, dimensions 1 through 9, and they evaluate them against some really intense key performance indicators.
They do. And the scoring is heavily skewed toward where the actual value is created on the floor.
So let's talk about the heaviest hitters. Dimension 2, the die casting cell, and Dimension 3, quality and defect control.
Together, those two dictate 40% of the entire maturity score. If you fail in a cell or fail in quality, the rest of your digital architecture honestly doesn't matter.
So for Dimension 2 to hit level 4, the factory must archive over 150 unique parameters for every single piece of metal injected.
Over 150. We're talking about using thermography on every cycle, tracking the exact thermal signature of the die.
And they have to keep cycles that fall out of process bounds to under 2%.
Right. And to hit level 5, the system must make automatic corrections greater than 0% of the time with absolutely zero operator input.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because tracking 150 parameters for every single piece of metal, isn't this just a massive data swamp?
It sounds like it, yeah.
How does a factory avoid getting totally paralyzed by information overload? If a press is running a 60-second cycle time, that is a relentless volume of data.
What's fascinating here is that this is precisely why level 4 predictive AI is necessary. The volume of data is exactly why they use multivariate time series analysis.
Okay, break that down for us.
Well, a human engineer might look at the plunger speed and say, okay, it's within the 2% tolerance, we are fine. And they look at the ambient humidity and the mold temperature, both also within tolerance. But the AI looks at the historical data and realizes that while all 3 parameters are technically fine on their own,
This specific combination of them is going to cause a problem.
exactly, it realizes that combination will alter the cooling rate just enough to cause microscopic porosity in the center of the casting.
Oh, wow. So it turns that data swamp into a predictive crystal ball.
Exactly. It finds the complex recipes for defects that human math just can't process in real time.
And that feeds right into Dimension 3 for quality. Because for standard high-pressure die casting, internal scrap has to be under 3%.
Right. And to clear the higher levels, the AI defect prediction must hit over 80% accuracy.
So the algorithm has to be right 8 out of 10 times before physical quality check is even performed. That's incredible.
It is. And the schema monitors everything else too. Like Dimension 1 is melting. A facility has to operate between 0.55 and 0.75 kilowatt hours per kilogram of melted aluminum.
Because any deviation means you're bleeding thermal energy. And that ties directly into Dimension 7, energy and sustainability.
Yes, level 4 requires the system to automatically calculate the CO2 equivalent emissions per part.
Plus, over 95% of internal scrap and sprues must be efficiently recycled and remelted.
Then you have dimensions 4 and 5. For molds and maintenance, unplanned mold maintenance stops must be kept under 10%.
And over 60% of critical assets need predictive models monitoring them. Things like vibration analysis on motors to maintain an OEE of greater than 85%.
Which is best in class. But, none of this matters if your network is fragile.
Right, Dimension 8, cybersecurity. The schema sets a hard limit on data latency under 5 seconds.
Because if a valve sticks in a 3,000-ton press, that anomaly has to register on the dashboard in less than 5 seconds.
A 5-second delay is the difference between an automated shutdown and a catastrophic die failure. Data quality also has to be 98%.
And Dimension 8 mandates an IEC 62443 cybersecurity assessment for level 3 or higher.
Because you aren't just protecting email servers anymore. You're protecting the operational technology network. If that gets hacked, someone could manipulate the thermal set points of molten metal.
Which is terrifying, so strict air gapping is mandatory.
Now, this microscopic level of control is wild for standard parts, but the industry is shifting. What happens when the factory isn't just making small parts, but casting massive single-piece structures, like the entire chassis of a car?
This brings us to the Giga and Megacasting add-on module, because when you use presses with 4,000 to 9,000 tons of clamping force, the physics completely change.
It's like the difference between baking a cupcake and baking a building-sized cake.
Exactly.
The physics change entirely. If the center of the giant cake sinks, you ruin the whole thing. You literally need an AI X-ray vision machine just to look inside it while it bakes.
And that's why the rules get so much stricter here. Level 4 is completely mandatory for safety-relevant X-ray and CT scans.
Using machine learning to classify porosity on 100% of these structural parts.
Because human visual inspection just doesn't cut it for crash-relevant components at this scale.
The schema also requires 100% automated 3D scanning for dimensional control.
Right, because as that massive aluminum chassis cools down, it distorts. So the digital twin has to constantly compensate for that distortion.
And it requires multi-zone thermal management for XXL molds to hit level 3 or 4.
Yes. And OEMs demand complete 100% unit traceability for gigacastings. If an underbody fails in a collision, they have to trace that exact chassis back to the specific furnace pour and all 150 process parameters.
The document also notes that because gigacasting is so new, the benchmarks for scrap can be greater than 10% during startup.
Right, which is an absolute financial hemorrhage.
Yeah.
Wasting 10% of standard brackets is one thing, but wasting 10% of 100-kilogram vehicle chassis...
That's why they use the digital twin to reduce ramp-up time for new giant casts, right? Time and wasted giant materials are just too expensive for trial and error on the physical machine.
Exactly. The simulation has to solve the fluid dynamics before you inject a single drop of real metal.
But having the biggest machines and the smartest AI means absolutely nothing if the humans running the factory don't know what they're looking at.
Oh, 100%. The transition requires a massive cultural pivot, and the schema addresses this through how it keeps score.
Let's talk about the scoring. It's a 0 to 100 scale, using weighted averages.
Right. As we said, dimensions 2 and 3 are 20% each. D1, D4, D5, and D8 are 10% each. And D6, D7, and D9 are about 6.7% each.
And the resulting 0 to 5 average is multiplied by 20 to get the 0 to 100 score, which classifies them into 5 profiles.
Yes. 0 to 30 is traditional. 31 to 50 is island digitization. 51 to 70 is connected. 71 to 85 is predictive.
And 86 to 100 is the adaptive smart Foundry. They visualize all this using a 9-axis radar chart to spot the gaps.
And the most critical gap to watch is Dimension 9, organizations, skills, and culture.
Right. To score highly here, workers need over 16 hours of digital training per year.
They need dedicated internal roles like data engineers. And most importantly, over 70% of process parameter modifications must be justified by data analysis.
Wait, so let me ask a pointed question about that radar chart.
Sure.
Say a factory spends millions hitting level 5 on their robots, but their Dimension 9, the human culture, is stuck at level 1. What happens to their radar chart? Does the whole operation crash because it's lopsided?
This raises an important question, and yes, the document explicitly calls out a lopsided radar chart as a typical risk profile.
Wow.
You can have a self-correcting gigapress, but if your operators aren't spending those 16 hours learning the digital tools, or if managers aren't making 70% of their decisions based on data...
The technology is essentially useless.
Exactly. The human culture has to sustain the digital architecture.
And they enforce that with the roadmap rule. For any dimension falling short, a factory must define a maximum of 2 to 3 priority actions listing costs, KPI benefits, and who is responsible.
And benchmarking is done every 12 months. You are either measurably improving year over year or you are falling behind.
Well, we have covered a massive journey today. We walked from level 0 paper trails all the way to level 5 autonomous digital twins.
We navigated those 9 intense dimensions of factory data.
Survived the X-ray vision requirements of megacasting, and learned that all the AI in the world still relies on human culture to actually succeed.
It really does.
So what does this all mean for you listening? Why should you care about a Foundry assessment schema? Well, the cars you drive, the planes you fly in, the devices you use, they all start in places like this.
Yep.
This assessment isn't just an audit. It is the literal blueprint of how the physical world around us is evolving into the digital age.
We've seen how this schema measures a factory's ability to predict a defect before it happens. But, as these factories reach level 5 and become fully autonomous, constantly rewriting their own rules to be more efficient.
Yeah.
At what point does the digital twin stop being a copy of the factory and start becoming the true master that the human workers are just serving?
Oh, that is a wild thought to leave off on. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We will catch you next time.